this film is starting a tradition that I didn't realize it until I saw in this movie that each film Nicholas Holt is in requires him to stand behind a window and look out of a curtain. Because every like from Renfield, this one, The Order, Juror Number Two, and from Nosferatu, like they each have that shot. And I'm like, I wonder if that's like in his contract now. You know how like Chris Hemsworth has to have a shirt off? And I'm
Yeah.
like, buddy, I'm like, maybe Nicholas Holt's like, I need to look out a window intensely and be scared. Those that don't know history are doomed to repeat it because we're talking movies. We're talking The Order, starring Jude Law, Nicholas Hoult, and Ty Sheridan, directed by Justin Kurzel. Chris, maybe it's the smoke. They like fresh air, and they can smell you from miles away.
Every fanatic fundamentalist, from the Catholics to the Orthodox to the KKK, the one thing you all have in common is, and you're too ignorant to see it, is that you're too inept to get by in the world. Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of How'd You Like That Movie? If you're in Southern Ontario, last weekend was probably a little snowy. So we're going to be talking about the 2024 film The Order with Jude Law and Nicholas Hoult. Hey Scott, why don't you take us away?
First, I'm 100% not surprised you used that quote. Anything to put down Catholics. I knew you're like,
not the KKK. It's the Catholics.
You're like, this guy's speaking to me. But
hey, we both went to Catholic school. What are you talking about?
I know. I'm gonna pull a Langford here and kind of bury the lead.
What are you doing? I'm burying you.
Do it. Bury it. Bury it.
I really like this movie, man. And I like it because they kept it pretty much simple, contained, and I think realistic. The performances were like fucking not over. How's the like not over dramatic,
like over the top?
Would you say no one was? Yeah. No one was trying to like choose scenery. Everybody knew technically what their role was. And even like the extreme fundamentalist, like no one was like really like over the top. Everything was contained. Like no one was screaming. Everything was down. Like, and we'll get into it a little bit. Like I really fucking love the cinematography in this film.
Yeah, it's shot in Calgary, Alberta. Well, it's shot in Alberta. Obviously, it's not shot in Calgary. It may have been shot in Calgary, but it was definitely shot in Alberta. That's where you get those big mountainscapes and fantastic outdoor scenery, right? So
and there's one shot in this movie that I fucking love, and it's the assassination of the radio host. The way they mounted that camera on the car door, so that way it's on him, and then once the car door opens, that's when you see the guy, because normally majority of those shots are always from the side view mirror, right, is when you see them. But I liked how they did it this way because it was unique, fresh, and but yeah, I really fucking enjoyed the shit out of this movie.
Yeah, man, and it's like, I mean, it's a very interesting subject matter. I mean, it's white nationalism. Let's like get that right out of the order. This film is about 1980s white nationalism, the Aryan nation. I mean, we're in the same kind of vein as like Timothy McVeigh, David Koresh, which is not white nationalism, but like Christian fundamentalism. Like there seemed to be a lot of that going on, that domestic terrorism in the United States. And even because of what's going on currently right now, Amazon, who picked this film up, did not really overly promote it. Like, I only know about this film because you mentioned it, and it did a really, really minor theatrical release. I think it was like 600 theaters, and then it came out on Prime. and it got kind of
Yeah.
buried.
Like I don't, if I'm not mistaken, this was one of the ones that premiered at TIFF last year.
Yeah,
That's where I first heard of it, was looking through the TIFF movies. And the way it was, the way I
well, and it
looked at it,
premiered at
and
Venice. It premiered at Venice.
yeah, because the way it looked at it was like American History X meets Heat kind of thing, right? Where I'm like, oh, that I'm like, I like both those movies. I'm like, this would do, I like, this was right up my wheelhouse. And then the other thing that I super enjoyed about this movie was Jude Law and his hairline, because it really made me feel good about my hairline.
You're bald!
No, I'm not. I was bald.
So I was like, he's making it seem like, you know, us semi-balding men can have a career if need be.
You know, it's funny that you reference Heat, and not to. This is gonna be a minor spoiler, but it doesn't really matter because there's a scene where Jude Law is out hunting and he ends up running into Bob Matthews, who's played by Nicholas Holt, and they obviously Jude Law doesn't recognize him or doesn't know who it is, and they have this little like kind of conversation back and forth, and it's very reminiscent of the De Niro. Like when I was watching it, it was very reminiscent of the De Niro Pacino conversation in Heat, where they're both at the diner table. But in that situation, they both know who each other are. But that was like right where my brain went to. I was like, oh my God, there's the kind of doing like a Heat setup here.
Yeah. So what about yourself? Like, did you like, Chris, did you like this movie?
How'd you like this movie?
Oh, that's why they call it that.
I did like it, actually. I thought it was a good, it's not quite, it's kind of like a police procedural, but more rugged. You got some domestic terrorism stuff going on, but you also get to see like how some acts of terrorism are actually just setups for the like crime elements. I actually, yeah, as I talk about this, I think the comparisons to Heat are warranted. You know what I mean? One thing I noticed too is like I'm watching it and I'm like, man, this kind of feels like season 1 of True Detective. And unsurprisingly, it's because Adam Arcapa, he's an Australian cinematographer. That's because he shot season 1 of True Detective, because it really has that vibe. You know what I mean? The drone shots, just everywhere, all the ways that he sets up his camera are very reminiscent of that first season of True Detective. So if you like that aesthetic, I think you'll really like the way this film looks. I thought the acting was really good too. It was well cast, and I agree with you. The actors are never, even though the subject matter is very over the top and it can be very explosive, they're contained. It felt real. And like there is some serious like violence in this film. And I don't want to give away like part near the ending, but when one of those shootings happens, I was like, shit, I did not expect that. It kind of took me kind of off guard. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed this film, and I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, and I also think like this film is starting a tradition that I didn't realize it until I saw in this movie, that each film Nicholas Holt is in requires him to stand behind a window and look out of a curtain. Because every, like from Renfield, the Order, Juror Number 2, and from Nosferatu, like they each have that shot. And I'm like, I wonder if that's like in his contract now. You know how like Chris Hemsworth has to have a shirt off?
Yeah.
And I'm like, buddy, I'm like, maybe Nicholas Holt's like, I need to look out a window intensely and be scared. Because
maybe I'd have to go watch all of his films. Does he do that in Boyhood as well, or
I don't remember Boyhood. I'm just saying because of this podcast, right? Because we did Renfield, we did this.
Oh, About a Boy.
Order.
It's not Boyhood. It's About a Boy. It's About a Boy.
Yeah.
Which we did a show on, so you should remember.
Yeah, that one. Well, that one I don't. But because Nosferatu, Juror Number 2, which I don't think we discussed, but
Juror Number 2 is it should be exactly a direct to streaming film. It felt like a fucking TV movie.
Oh, I totally disagree here. I
Well,
think
you're wrong.
as a side note, like I think juror number two, like one, like odds are Clint Eastwood's last movie, right? That should have some kind of respect on it because the
Well,
guy's like
maybe
95.
if he's not dead, he can still make movies, right? So
And then number two, you got Toni Collette and her non-stereotypical role of not playing a mom, um, killing it in it. And I thought the whole dramatic like thing with Nicholas Holt's character was very well done too. Like
I would just watch 12 Angry Men. Just watch that. It's better. It's a better film.
yeah, but it's totally different though.
Except this is basically trying to redo that juror intrigue of 12 Angry Men, and 12 Angry Men does it better. But again, I'm not really here to talk about that. Actually, I do want to bring up something about what's it, the juror number two. So both Jude Law and Nicholas Hoult are British actors, and I found that Nicholas Hoult, I prefer him when he just gets to keep his British accent. I don't really love when he drops his British accent for an American accent. And in juror number two, I really found it grating. For some reason, maybe it's because I wasn't loving the movie, it really stuck out to me. But somehow in this film, in the order where he's just like this rugged kind of mountainy man, it fucking works, man. Like I believe him as like an outback American, like 100%. And Jude Law's, I've always been pretty comfortable with him not having, whether he has his British accent like he does in Elfie or in other roles where it's just has an American accent. Like I find that he does that fairly seamlessly. But yeah, like I said, the casting and the acting in this is really well done.
Yeah.
Did you like Ty Sheridan? He's American, I think, though, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's related to Taylor Sheridan. But yeah, like I've liked him for a while. Like he's in one of my favorite like B movies that came out in
X-Men
cinemas.
Apocalypse?
No, it was fuck, The Neighborhood. Oh, what was it called again? Hold on, I'm gonna find it here. It's like the fucking boys, the Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse.
Oh, okay.
If you haven't,
Go ahead.
yeah, it's like an Americanized version kind of Shaun of the Dead, but it's all like fucking Boy Scouts kind of thing.
Oh, nice.
It's fucking hilarious.
I mean, he was also in like a movie you really liked, The Tender Bar, with Mr. Ben Affleck. The Tender Bar.
What?
The Tender Bar. He was in The Tender Bar.
Oh, yeah. He was in
the Tender Bar, right? Because he's got to be from Boston.
Look who's got Smart Pack.
Smart Pack?
Just hit the clicker. Car packs itself. It's smart. It's wicked smart.
Yeah, I thought you were having a stroke there. I'm like literally.
You're like calling 911.
I have 911 going, and I was about to be like, I don't even know where he is today. So I'm like, I don't know about this.
So
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, and he was with Spielberg in Ready Player One.
Ready Player One. I don't know a ton of the director is Justin Kurzel. He's also an Australian director. I'm not sure if I saw his Macbeth. I definitely didn't see Assassin's Creed, although both of them have Fassbender in them. I did see True History of the Kelly Gang, which is it's an interesting way to tell that story. It was a bit surreal, and again a bit avant-garde. Like, do you know any of his other work, or are you a fan of his work? Or
well, yeah, like I haven't really watched much. I think the reason why you haven't seen, like, because it seemed like he went to TV for a little bit, but I think it's mainly because of how bad Assassin's Creed bombed.
Oh, did it not do well?
Oh no, it didn't do well at all. So I think that's why we kind of haven't seen him a lot. But I enjoyed the shit out of this movie, which I might go watch some of his earlier ones, because I haven't seen the one you were talking about either. But I think like I said, I think all in all, like this was like kind of like the perfect storm of a film, right? Like if you have nothing to watch, especially in these snowy days, like this is going to entertain you. Like it's not going to, in my opinion, disappoint, right?
Well, and then like, not to get too political, but this is a very political movie. If you're in the United States and you're kind of wondering what's going on with your government, this movie might give you some information as to how these things come about. Because there is a line where the leader of the Aryan nation is basically saying like, hey, the reason we don't get involved in like domestic terrorism and crime and stuff is because one day we're going to have Congress, we're going to have the House, we're going to have the Senate. And I mean, one could argue maybe even the presidency. This is based on a book, just to let everybody know. It's based on the book The Silent Brotherhood by Kevin Flynn and Gary Gerhardt. And the screenplay is by Zach Balin. He did the film King Richard and the remake of The Crow, the one in 2024. So
no, but this was based on a true story, correct?
Yeah, this is a true story. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. These are all true events. Again, I think they took some liberties. Like the FBI agent played by Jude Law, I think is a composite. And same with the police officer that is played by Ty Sheridan. Is it Ty Sheridan? Yeah, it's Ty Sheridan.
Yeah.
They're like composite characters, right? Yeah, shot in Alberta, looks gorgeous. Great little police procedural. It's violent. It's political. Yeah, I give it, I'd say 7.5, 8 out of 10, maybe something in that space.
Oh.
And it is on Amazon. So if you've already got a Prime subscription, you can just watch it that way. Do you have anything else you want to talk about, Scott?
Yeah. Like I can't count as high to 10, so I usually just go to 5. But yeah, I'd give this a 4 out of 5 too. But I do have one question, and like just kind of off topic kind of thing, because they reference this book a lot in this movie, the
Turner Diaries. Yes.
Now, do you think it's weird that it literally ends with this book is technically the blueprint of so much domestic terrorism? It's like promoting it, like you should really see.
That's what it is, though. That's what that book is. That's a real book.
No, I understand, but I like for myself, no idea about it, right? But do you think it now makes people who like kind of seek out this book kind of thing? You know what I mean? It's like, here's a blueprint if you're looking at it.
I would argue, so first off, if you are not aware of this book and you're a white nationalist, just don't listen to this podcast. Just erase that part from your brain. Boom. Men in Black. We just deleted that part.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you will, look right here.
To be honest, if you're in those spaces, it's funny. I even just commented on a political Instagram post this morning about the Turner Diaries because we just watched this film. If you're in those spaces, if you're in those right-wing white nationalist spaces, you're aware of the Turner Diaries, just like you're aware of the 14 words and all the other stuff that like these people have in their echo chamber, right? So that is why it is not surprising that the insurrection at the Capitol kind of follows a lot of the stuff that happened in this book, because the people doing those things have read this book. It's sort of like left-wing people when they read stuff by like Che Guevara and stuff like that, like or other revolutionary texts, right? So people are getting their information from the same sources. I don't know. Did I answer your question? I don't know.
I guess so. Technically, Mike Pence was supposed to be Day of the Rope.
They talked about that. They talked about that.
Right? They were gonna.
This is not a coincidence. Anyway, do you have anything else? Because I want to finish with a quote from the Seattle Times.
No, go ahead.
All right. So Maura McDonald from the Seattle Times. Director Justin Kurzel keeps the action taut and lean, letting the story unfold on the faces of his leading men as they slowly move towards their final confrontation.
And that is our wrap for the day. Please like and subscribe to this podcast. Tell your friends. If you want to get a hold of us, reach us at the www.howdyoulikethatmovie.com. Yeah, the one thing I kind of appreciate about this film is how we're discussing like presence, right? Where the trailer kind of makes it like seem something that's not. This one kind of does the reverse. Like for me, like if you watch the trailer, I thought it was going to be like Ty Sheridan's character is like undercover, like it was going to be like a Donnie Brasco kind of thing.
Yeah, or Black Klansman or something like that.
Yeah, where he's undercover in there, and the fact that it doesn't go there, and I really appreciated that there wasn't many like, you know, blown out explosions just out of nowhere kind of thing. It was like everything was so like fucking, like the word I want to leave is with grimy, right? Like, because it just kind of like stays with you kind of after, like, fuck, right? Like, people got away with this shit, people did this shit, and it's like kind of makes you like, ew.
Production by Rod Shaver, Vader Monkey Productions.